Hello everyone. Well, I'm back home, obviously. So, it's the end of term report on our MSc cruise. What I've decided to do is split them in two. The first one, this one, will just be about our experience as tourists and geocachers. The other one will be about how a middle-aged British couple found their first MSc experience and what their opinions are. And I will do that one after I've had a conflab with D8 and she's told me what my opinions are. So anyway, how did the holiday go? Didn't get off to a great start because the Highways Agency were doing roadworks on the M25 at the junction of the M23, which is the junction you need to get to Gatwick Airport. In their infinite wisdom, they didn't send us off on the junction before. They diverted us to the junction afterwards, which sent us down to a place called, well, towards a place called Copthorne. By which time my sat nav had kicked back into life, having deserted me halfway down the M40, where it kept trying to send me down dark country lanes. Now, those of you that are members of the Chezo Lack of Formation dance team know what happens to me when I follow sat navs that send me down dark country lanes. So I didn't. I just carried on following the car in front. And eventually we made it to the M23 and we coached Gatwick Airport from the south. Found it no problems. The meet and greet went fine. The check-in at BA wasn't so good because the woman who checked us in couldn't replace the paper roll in a printer. And then even though we checked in together, she decided we didn't actually want to sit together and put Sue in the window seat in 15A and me in 15D. Luckily I spotted this before we came away from the check-in and asked to be seated together. And it was a good job we did, because if it hadn't, the seat of 15B was occupied by a mother and a child, and D8 would not have been impressed with that. So the flight was the flight, and we arrived in Genoa to 4 degrees and snow, an inconveniently placed ship, and feeling incredibly fatigued. All of which meant we didn't want to do anything as a tourist or a geocacher. Now, the inconvenient place ship, I'll just elucidate on that. MSC's home port is Genoa, which means it doesn't dock their ships at the cruise terminal, which is nice and close to all the touristy places that you might want to go to. It's completely the other end of the city, or the end of the harbour complex. So it was well away from all the touristy things, and the nearest geocache was a half-a-mile walk. Well, half a mile in a straight line. So those of you that geocache know full well it was going to be more than a half-a-mile walk. So we knocked it on the head. The good news was this meant we could access our all-inclusive drinks package a lot earlier than we expected to. So we did. And so, to Città di Vecchia, the port for Rome. Now, the plan for the port for Rome, as some of you will know, was basically just to chill, relax, get over our travails of the day before, and enjoy an empty ship when everybody else got off and went to enjoy the beautiful treasures and the ancient delights of Rome. Except for the fact it snowed. About 3 or 4 inches of snow. And the Romans handle snow pretty much like we do. The Brits. We don't. So MSC cancelled all the day trips. So the 3,000–4,000 people who were expecting to get off the ship and leave the ship just to us didn't. But still, nonetheless, we had a relaxed breakfast, did a few game shows or quizzes or whatever it was in the morning, had a relaxed lunch, and then wrapped ourselves up and headed off into the port for Rome. Because those of you that have seen some of these already will remember, I hope, that we had a geocaching goal for the port for Rome. We wanted to turn the continental frown upside down. Now, D8 did ask me why we weren't going for the other geocache, which was closer. And true, there was one that was closer, but it meant you had to swim the 1,400 feet to get to it. So we stuck with plan A and went back to the one that was on the harbour side, and it was exactly where we were looking for it the last time we were there. So, job done, job completed, signed, replaced. And despite my endeavour, my desire, if you like, to do some more geocaching in the snow, D8 wasn't having any of it. So back to the ship we went, and the consuming of more hot chocolates and cocktails. Right then, day 2. No, that was day 2, Città di Vecchia. Day 3, Palermo. The weather was kinder in Palermo, it didn't snow. There was one heavy downpour, but luckily for us, we were on the coach coming back from Monreal. And our only exposure to it was like a 10-yard dash from the coach to our lunch break venue where D8 and I kept up our holy tradition of purchasing an overpriced local ice cream. We like to do this. Only this time, the local ice cream wasn't that overpriced. In fact, it was very reasonable. What you got for €2 was fantastic. What I'd like to know is, why don't we do coffee ice cream in Britain? I love coffee ice cream. We only get it abroad. Sorry. Rant over. So, Montreal, what's there? Nothing, basically. Just this church. That's why it was put there. Some kind of symbol of how all-powerful, almighty the ruling family at the time was. And they want so everybody could see it. The inside of which is, and you'll hear me use this word a lot, I'm sorry, but you will, stunning. Absolutely stunning. It's lovely. It really is. So we went in, saw that, great stuff. Now, there's nothing much else to Montreal. I personally would like a bit more time there, but I understand there isn't a lot there. And we were advised by the guide, rather than using and paying €1 for the public loos down by where the coaches were parked, find yourself a cafe, buy yourself a coffee, which oddly enough costs €1, and use their facilities. They'll probably be better. We, however, went geocaching because there's one geocache in Montreal. So we went for it and looked for it and looked for it, but didn't find it. Now, I've checked the log since, and the following day, somebody else didn't find it, but 2 people have subsequently since found it. But that's the game. That's the hobby that some of us enjoy. That's the way it rolls. So back we went to the coach, only to realise that one of us really needed the loo, and I had no choice but to bite the bullet. I was going to have to pay the €1. I was going to have to pay for a wee, but I didn't. Yeah, I got a free wee. That's a minor victory in Italy, let me tell you. And then back to the coach. We were told the coach could only wait for 5 minutes. So we waited for 5 minutes, and then another 5. And after 15, when one of our numbers still hadn't returned, despite their travel partner, I believe, ringing them up to ask them where they were, the coach had no option but to leave. Of course, the guide's got no option. She has an obligation to the rest of the people on the coach to keep the trip on time. And this person's travelling partner did what any travelling partner would do. That's right, he stayed on the coach. And to be fair, it was a good job he did, because about 10 minutes later, as the coach worked its way back down the Montreal Hill, it suddenly veered off to the right because there was our missing coach partner. She'd somehow managed to descend the hill of Montreal by a completely different route, which didn't take her through the coach park. And she planned to walk back to Palermo? I don't know. It's not round the corner, trust me. But anyway, she spotted us, flagged us down, and we were reunited. Hurrah! So we started off at San Lorenzo's market for the lunch and the ice cream and the toilet break. And then on we went to Palermo. Walking tour of Palermo, which encompassed another church. The inside of which was, you guessed it, stunning. Absolutely beautiful. Now, this is just the church. It's not the cathedral. After we'd seen this church, we walked again around the rest of Palermo, and we ended up in the grounds, the front courtyard in front of the cathedral. Now, the cathedral outside is lovely. Inside, apparently, because our guide told us it wasn't worth the bother of going in, is very plain. D8 and I, however, went cashing, because there is one in the front courtyard of Palermo Cathedral. Which consists of little sort of statues with like sort of fenced little bits of greenery around them. And it was in one of these that the geocache was. Easy to find, just had to push an errant weed, although I suppose it could have been a flower with my horticultural knowledge aside, and there it was. The worry with this one is the original magnetic cache is missing, or has gone missing, and has been replaced by another one which frankly looks like a piece of rubbish. And if the people who do tend these gardens ever get round to, well, tending them, there's a good chance it'll get thrown away. But that's the CO's problem, not mine. So, after waiting 5 minutes for a group of Russians and their guide who decided not to come back to the coach to get back to the boat, but didn't tell anybody that they decided to do that, we got back to the coach and then back to the boat and left Sicily that night. On to Valletta, Malta, beautiful island. Our trip that day took us up to the ancient capital of Ndina. Lovely small little medieval city with a beautiful church in the middle, the interior of which is, that's right, stunning, not to be missed, absolutely incredible. I have put some pictures on my Facebook account, and other people who've been there, Mary and Nigel Davis, because Maria, to give her a birth name, is Maltese, and they've been before, and apparently they think the photographs I've taken are beautiful. And I'd like to claim some kind of photographic expertise, but I didn't. I just pointed and clicked the iPad. Sorry, Dean, but I did. I can't claim any kind of photographic expertise at all. Anyway, Ndina is a small medieval city. There's an overlook, an overview, but this is when you need your if you're going to go geocaching, and we decided to because we had a bit of free time. You need your geocaching app to work properly. Mine didn't. Got the compass, great. That's all right in a modern city which is built on squares on a grid, but a medieval city where all the bloody roads weave, it's not. So having walked up and down the front of the museum looking for the Knight's Washroom cache and not getting any closer to it, I didn't know which road round the museum would take me to the cache because the maps weren't there. Anyway, gave up on that one, but no worries, there's one close to the the coach park. It's in the ditch that surrounds Ndina. Trouble is, without the map, I didn't know how to gain access to the ditch. So following the compass, follow, we'll go that way. Follow. I'm 120 feet away from it. The trouble is, the wall in front of me was designed and built to keep potential attacking hordes who were armed to the teeth out. So it was more than a match for an overweight 50-year-old armed with a mobile phone. But why did you keep walking towards it, you might say? Bearing in mind, you can see it's a big wall. But the wall that went down to it, there was a gap in. I thought, the ditch is that way, I might be able to walk through the gap, around the wall and get to the geocache. Yes. No. The gap in the wall turned out to be the entrance to Malta's police headquarters. So back we went to Main Street, back over the bridge, which went over the ditch. Running out of time, set of stairs there, job's a good one. Off we went. Hey, the stairs are padlocked. So looking around for another set of stairs, there's a building the other side of the coach park. I walk towards it and then I see the name of the cache on the building that I'm walking towards. And sure enough, there is the set of stairs, an unpadlocked set of stairs that you need to get down into the ditch. The trouble was, by the time I'd found this, our fellow coach party members were congregating, waiting for the coach to return. And to be fair, literally, I'd walked back from the stairs to where D8 was sat down. The coach had pulled up. I wouldn't even have got to the bottom of the stairs, much less start out time to look for the GZ. So our first attempt at getting our Malta souvenir, blown. Back to Valletta. Now, the coach park in Valletta, or where we were dropped off, is between the upper and lower Baracca Gardens. Anyone who's been to Valletta will know the massive fountain in the square there. You'll know exactly where we are. Walking tour, into Valletta we go, and I'm on the phone, and we stood by, it's called the Royal Flush. The cache is called the Royal Flush, which she's been telling us about the architecture and the sculptures, that some of which I've posted on Facebook. I took photos of what they mean, and the history of the place. That's what you've gone for. So we walk around this. I think it's an ancient washroom, laundry facilities, for the Knights Templar. And my phone's telling me I'm getting closer, and I'm getting closer. And sure enough, as we walk around it, I look to my left, and there in the wall, I can actually see the 35mm, remember them? Film cameras, film pop, in the wall. I can see it from where I'm walking, but I've got to stay with the group. Never mind, so we stay with the group, and we walk round to the right, past a lovely little church, two in fact, which the guy didn't even mention.